Welcome back, guys. Week 11 of our season is in the books, and we have defeated the Houston Texans 31-24. Before we get started, remember to like, comment, subscribe, turn on those notifications down below, and let's get straight into talking about what happened in that last game. Houston gave us a much tougher battle than we expected going in, but we were the ones who edged it out to find the victory, and it came down to the very end. But let's start with talking about how our offensive unit performed. We have found a whole new dynamic to this offense since our number one, Kyler Murray, returned last week, and he proved that Player of the Week nod was no mistake as he once again went over 300 all-purpose yards and getting himself 3 total touchdowns, with one of them coming on the ground with the heads-up red zone play. But he didn't start his day as great as he ended it, as on his very first pass on the day, he was picked off by the former Jaguar, Shaquille Griffin, as he cut off a low throw and gave his guys the chance to get the first points on the day. Now, they would have to settle for the field goal there because we got some great defensive contributions to hold them in the short field, with one of the most notable being from Zaven Collins. He got a big TFL on that possession, and he seemed to be involved all day long as he led the team with double-digit tackles. And another guy with clutch defense today was Jalen Thompson, as at the end of the second quarter, as Houston was running the 2-minute drill, he snagged the ball down and secured a key interception to give his offense another shot at points. The Texan defense also had guys step up on the defensive side. Their third overall pick, Will Anderson Jr., even though he was drawing the extra attention, he still managed to drop us for a loss twice, with one of them going to Murray, making him pay for taking the wrong escape route. And they also got a ton of help from their safety, Jalen Petre, who seemed to be crashing down to help every single play, as he finished with 10 tackles on the day, with 9 of them being assisted ones. But now, let's discuss the swings of this game. Switching to the offensive side for Houston, their potential downfall was that CJ Stroud continued his extremely average rookie season, as he seems to make little difference, completing a little over 50% of his passes, and he left this touchdown-to-interception ratio even with 1 each today. But the man who stepped up was their second-year back, Dameon Pierce. He finished with just over 80 yards on the day, averaging 4.5 yards on 18 carries, and a couple more plays for him, and it very well could have made the difference on the day. But it was their backup running back, Devin Singletary, who got on the board as down 11 early in the second half. He exploded outside and took his run all the way down the sideline for the 31-yard touchdown score. Now, we made sure no matter what they put together on offense, we continued to create breathing room due to the production of our various playmakers such as Hollywood and Wilson. But one of the guys that got to punch it home was Rondale Moore, who ran a simple end zone slant, and once that speed got to work, he got the easy touchdown reception. Our best receiving threat, however, was Trey McBride. He made a few very key grabs for us, with his most important coming late in the game as he found a way to stay in bounds, streak down the sideline, and power through a tackle to get the touchdown to put them up 14 in the fourth quarter. They would not go down without a fight, however, as it was then that their tight end, Dalton Schultz, stepped up as he hauled in 3 of his 8 catches to help drive them down the field, with the last being the easy uncovered hitch to bring it back to a 1-score margin. And with the game on the line, the man who decided it was Tyson Williams, the guy who has done everything this team has asked, the guy who punched in the first touchdown of this game, and he was the same man who picked up the final first down to clinch the victory and allow us to see out our 9th win on the year. After the game, we met with the press and we were asked if we had any thoughts on the play we got out of Kyler Murray today. And we said not too much. He made it known that he hoped to have a better day, but at the end of the day, winning is what we aim to do each week, and we got it done today. After falling just short of his goal, he will not be getting a development trait upgrade. It is now time for us to look at the news headlines from around the league for this week. And to start, there is a lot of buzz right now about the amazing performance from Zaven Collins after this week in our close win. We are hearing that Panthers running back Miles Sanders has been injured following their most recent game, and he will be out of action for the next few weeks. This is about the time of the year where we start to see a lot of important division games come up, and it looks like Cincinnati is vying to make a late run at the AFC North as they took down the AFC leading Ravens, handing them only their second loss in the year, with the first coming from us earlier on. Staying in the North on the NFC side, Detroit is also attempting to claw back in the division after an abysmal start to the year, and they got that much closer this week as they scraped out a win against the Bears by a score of 28-25. And looking forward to the division matchups this week, there is a super defensive AFC South clash as it will be Levante David and the Buccaneers who travel to Indianapolis to take on Damian Wilson and the Colts. More importantly to us, two of our division mates will clash as the number 1 ranked AFC defense of the 49ers heads into Seattle to take on the number 2 ranked AFC defense of the Seahawks. And since we are just about 3 months into the season, this seems like a great time to have another recap on the season. And before we get into the division, looking at the entire league, we can see that this phenomenal run we have been on has us tied for the second best record in the NFL. Of course, the squad we are even with is the Baltimore Ravens, the team we edged out by a singular point, and the only team above us is the Dallas Cowboys, who completely obliterated us back in Week 3. That in turn lands us the lead spot in the NFC West, with Seattle and San Francisco battling it out for second place as they are tied at 6-4, and the Rams are bottom feeding at 3-7. But let's take a moment to analyze how the last few weeks have gone for our division. Starting with Seattle, we last looked at them after Week 8, and it seems like their offense is going through a bit of a lull as they have only averaged about 15 points a game since then, and that has caused them to lose back-to-back games by 1 point to both Baltimore and Washington, and they scraped by LA with just 13 points. After that, we have the 49ers, and they only had 2 games over the stretch as they had their bye week in Week 9, but they won a highly competitive battle out in Jacksonville, and then in turn took a very competitive loss the following week to the Bucks. And lastly, we have the Los Angeles Rams, and they have continued their rough stretch as they have yet to find another win since we last saw them as they lost by a field goal to Green Bay in Week 9. Took their bye in Week 10, and as we discussed, are reeling off a low-scoring loss to the Seahawks. And now they have to prepare for their upcoming game in which they travel to Arizona to take us on. This will be our second time meeting each other this season, so since we already know the roster and the key players to watch out for, let's revisit what happened back in Week 6. On that day, we took the win 27-10, and that was with Colt McCoy at the helm, and his numbers looked very good on the day, but many of you will remember that because this was the game that solidified Hollywood Brown as a superstar receiver, as he had over 150 yards on the day with a touchdown to go with it. And our defense also made a statement as Marco Wilson picked off Matthew Stafford, and he took it 57 yards for the pick 6. And with this big divisional game coming, we spoke to the team in the locker room and we said, let's go, fellas. They are going to be looking for revenge, so let's stay focused, play the way we're capable of, and once again, take care of business. And it was our veteran leader, Colt McCoy, who told the guys, there's no need to try and do too much out there. We know what it takes to beat them. We did it once before. It's time to do it again. And time for us to get that sweep. Some very powerful words as we are now ready to discuss the game plan heading into this matchup. Starting on defense, one of the few things LA did well last time we played was Stafford getting the ball deep down the field for Kupp and Jefferson to make plays, and our main focus is going to be defending that deep ball. On the offensive side, we saw how aggressive they like to be in our last battle, and with nothing to lose even more with a 4 record now, we can expect them to call even more of that extra pressure, so our focus is going to be to counter the blitz. And after that, we were then ready to set our goals for this upcoming game. First, we want to win by 17 or more points. That was the margin we achieved 6 weeks ago, and there's no reason we can't do the same today. Next, we want to get at least 350 offensive yards. This defense is mostly lackluster besides the few stars they have, such as Aaron Donald, and with our offense as hot as it is, that should be a very attainable benchmark. After that, we want to hold the Rams to 14 points or less. We did such a great job shutting them down last time. We want to keep that up by holding them to 2 scores or less this time. And lastly, we want to get 2 or more passing touchdowns. The last time we were here, we did not have Kyler Murray healthy and ready to go, and with this being his first division game since his return, I think it's a great time for him to show out. We were then able to complete our training for the week, both teams finishing without suffering any significant injuries, but the one man that I want to highlight for growth they had was Tyson Williams. He had such a massive impact last week, and today he continued to improve in his awareness, break tackle, and trucking. And we mentioned it last week, our newest superstar is our rookie linebacker BJ Ojulari, and he only gets one ability for now, and that ability will be recuperation, which will help him recover from the effects of fatigue at an increased rate between plays. And with that, we have discussed everything we needed to for this week. If you guys enjoyed, remember to like, comment, subscribe, turn on those notifications down below, and I will see you all next time as we return home to take on the Rams.